Hello again, everyone. In the next two lessons, we will focus on working with shadows to make our portrait more three-dimensional and alive. Correct placement of shadows helps to emphasize the structure, depth, and expressiveness of the portrait. Shadows create the feeling of three-dimensionality, making the image more realistic. Well, let's get down to business. So, friends, today we will build up the tone of the face. This is the largest area of our drawing. In this photo, there are not very many shadows, but I want to emphasize the most important zones. So, as we talked about earlier in the video, when discussing light and shadow, this part of the face will be in shadow. Therefore, we need to choose a tone close to what we already set here. This part of the face is in the light. Since we have already drawn the nose, we need to make this part a little darker than the nose, because the nose is more turned toward the light. So, we will make the tone close to what we made on the nose, but slightly darker. This part of the face is the brightest. Everything else, and also here on the neck. But since today we are drawing the face, I'm showing that here is the brightest part. Everything else will be slightly darker, half a tone darker. So, let's start with the shadowed part. I'll take probably a 2H pencil and begin building the tone. Let's first do this part of the face and this shadow area, and then we'll gradually transition into the light. I'll take an HB pencil and start building tone with small strokes, small shading. Let's mark where the shadow will pass. Lightly, I'll take the 2H pencil and show that here, this part is in shadow. Don't press hard on the pencil, because later we need a smooth transition. Here it's already indicated, and then here, and further it goes down here. Here it curves on the chin. That means this part will be in shadow. Let's start building it with an HB pencil. At first, I apply it lightly, and then, as usual, I'll add more where it's missing. I'll make it darker. We make a smooth transition. And further it goes down. Now let's add more tone, because this is of course not enough. I'll take a 2B pencil and try to add more. I will build off this shadow we already drew and match it in tone approximately the same. So, I think this will be enough. Now let's take a blending stump and smooth all transitions carefully so as not to smudge, not to over-darken. Circular movements are fine. Carefully go around the lips. I don't press hard on the blending stump, I just smooth gently. Here, a little blotch appeared, but will build up more later, and it won't be visible. So, now let's take an HB pencil and add more tone where it's missing. We see that here, this cheek is darker, because it is more in shadow. So we add more tone here. Here it will be a little lighter. Here we won't touch. See how the shadow is added smoothly? Here too we can strengthen. Here also will be a little darker. Closer to the hair it will be darker. Then as the shadow moves closer to the light, naturally it will soften. Let's take 2B and make it even darker. This part will be about the same tone as here. So we bypass it. Here we add. Adjust the pencil pressure and match the tone to what we see in the photo. And now let's smooth more with the blending stump. Here on the edges, where the darker shadow goes into the lighter shadow, we blend more strongly to make the transition smooth. Here the transition came out a little rough, so we'll blend it a little. Now add more blending here. Here a little more shadow, So here we'll go over a bit more actively with the blending stump, like this. For now, let's leave it like this. Now let's build the light part. Take a 2H pencil and first make a smooth transition from the shadow. I think we'll need later to add more shadow in the shaded area. But for now, we leave it as is and work on the light. I'm shading with a 2H pencil because it's a hard pencil. It won't smudge the light areas. And we can also go over lightly with the blending stump. Make it a little darker because now our tone is about the same as on the nose, but it should be slightly darker, so we'll add more. Now I'm making halftone between shadow and light to make the transition smoother, so that it looks like shadow, not like some color, since the shadow falls more smoothly. Let's continue building the tone on the whole face. Let's try taking an HB pencil, or even a B pencil. An H pencil also works well, and a little softer, maybe I'll take an H pencil and continue shading with it. Also use the blending stump. If blotches appear somewhere, I add tone to make them less visible, to create the smoothest possible skin texture. Next, here will go the same tone, gradually transitioning into the light areas, and here. Here we'll have the cheekbone line. These parts will also be a little lighter, but we'll refine this when we build up the main skin tone. Then we'll adjust closer to the photo. For now, we need to fill in all the main areas, and then check where it's missing and where there's too much. And pay attention to how I shade. I follow the form of the face. Just as I showed shading a sphere, about the same way I follow the form. Somewhere semicircular, somewhere straight, like on the forehead, and so on. Gradually, I build up the tone. See, I go over several layers in some areas to fill all the areas where it's missing. Here it will gradually transition into light, but we don't leave the paper white. So we add a little tone here too. Here, under the eye, I make it denser, because we see this part is light, and here already darker, according to the photo. So I do several layers, building up tone, and adjust it. Adjust it to look as in the photo. Well, friends, I think at this stage we can stop, and see you in the next video. Bye!